The Christmas lights cast their warm glow across our dining room table, illuminating what should have been a perfect family moment. 23 years of marriage, 3 children, a house in the suburbs with a 2-car garage and a white picket fence. The American dream wrapped up with a bow. I'm Corbin Finlor, 48 years old, owner of a small auto repair shop that somehow managed to keep us comfortable despite the economy. My hands are permanently stained with engine oil, my back aches from crawling under cars, but I've built something real, something honest. Talia, my wife, sits at the opposite end of our mahogany table, her blonde hair perfectly styled, her red dress immaculate. At 45, she's still stunning, still turns heads when we walk into restaurants. Now she works as a senior account executive at Morrison & Associates, a high-end advertising firm downtown. Where I fix things, she sells dreams. Our 3 children complete the picture. Cassie, 22, home from college with her journalism degree and her mother's sharp tongue. Jonah, 18, built like me but with his mother's ambition, heading to business school in the fall. And Maya, 16, daddy's little girl who's been pulling away from me lately, gravitating toward her mother's world of appearances and social media. Talia's parents, Harold and Margaret Westbrook, sit stiffly in their chairs, disapproval radiating from them like heat from a furnace. They've never forgiven me for stealing their precious daughter away from her destiny as a doctor's wife. My own parents are long gone, leaving me with just my brother Danny, who couldn't make it tonight because of his shift at the fire station. The conversation flows around me like background noise. Talia dominates, as always, regaling everyone with stories from her latest business trip to Portland. She travels there frequently, consulting for some tech startup that's supposedly revolutionizing social media marketing. The money's good, she says. The work is fulfilling. Corbin's been such a saint, she says, raising her wine glass. Taking care of everything while I'm building my career. Most men wouldn't be so understanding. I force a smile. Happy to support your dreams, honey. But something feels wrong. Has felt wrong for months now. The way she looks at me sometimes, like I'm a piece of furniture she's grown tired of. The way she flinches when I touch her. The way she guards her phone like it contains state secrets. You know, Talia continues, her voice taking on that particular tone she uses when she's about to deliver what she thinks is a profound observation. I was just telling my therapist, Dr. Hayes, about how complicated marriage can be. The room grows quiet. Even the children look up from their phones. Don't get it wrong, Talia says, her eyes meeting mine across the table. I love my husband, but he's one of the biggest regrets of my life. The silence stretches for exactly 3 heartbeats. Then Harold chuckles. Margaret joins in with her tinkling laugh. Cassie snorts, covering her mouth with her napkin. Jonah grins and shakes his head. Even Maya giggles behind her hand. My own children, laughing at me. I stand up slowly, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. Every eye in the room focuses on me. The laughter dies. Talia has a second family in Portland, I say, my voice calm and steady. Ask her about the Merrick children. The color drains from Talia's face like water from a broken dam. I reach into my jacket pocket and pull out a cracked external drive, setting it gently on the table next to the turkey. Found this in your sock drawer, sweetheart. Labeled Merrick tax stocks. Interesting reading. Harold's fork clatters to his plate. Margaret's wineglass trembles in her hand. The children stare at their mother with growing horror. Corbin, Talia whispers. Please. But I'm already walking to the living room, where my laptop waits on the coffee table. I've had this presentation ready for 3 days, ever since I cracked the encryption on that drive with help from my old army buddy who works in cybersecurity now. The first photo appears on our 75-inch television screen. Talia, smiling brilliantly, her arms around 2 children I've never seen before. A boy, maybe 6 years old, and a girl who looks about 4. They're standing in front of a modest apartment building, autumn leaves scattered at their feet. This was taken last October, I explain, clicking to the next image, while you were supposedly at that medical conference in Seattle. More photos, Talia pushing the little girl on a swing, Talia helping the boy with what looks like a school project, Talia at a parent-teacher conference sitting next to a man I recognize from the FBI's most wanted website. That's Elias Corvin, I continue, my voice still unnaturally calm. Wanted for embezzling $4.7 million from the teacher's pension fund in Michigan. He's been living in Portland under the name Marcus Merrick. And Talia, well, she's been Mrs. Merrick every Tuesday through Thursday for the past 7 years. Cassie makes a sound like a wounded animal. Jonah's face has gone pale. Maya starts crying, though I'm not sure if it's from shock or embarrassment. The apartment lease is in her name, I say, clicking through bank statements, utility bills, school enrollment forms. Mara Merrick, mother of 2, She even has an Oregon driver's license with that name. Talia finally finds her voice. You don't understand. It's not what it looks like. Really? I turn to face her. Because it looks like you've been living a double life. It looks like you told those children their father is a consultant who travels for work, just like you told us you were consulting in Portland. It looks like you've been playing house with a wanted criminal while your real family sits here like fools, believing your lies. I click to the medical records I obtained through a private investigator. Remember when you told me you couldn't have more children? Endometriosis, you said. Too painful, too risky. Except these records show you had your tubes tied without telling me, then had the procedure reversed 2 years later, right around the time you started your consulting work. Margaret Westbrook stands abruptly, her chair toppling backward. Harold, we're leaving. This is inappropriate. Sit down, Margaret, I say, and something in my tone makes her freeze. We're not finished. I click to the financial records. Bank transfers, wire receipts, a complex web of money moving from Elias Corvin's various accounts through shell companies and eventually into our joint checking account. Talia's been laundering stolen pension money through my business accounts for 8 years, I announce. Every time I wondered how we could afford that vacation to Europe, or Maya's private school tuition, or the new kitchen renovation, turns out it was stolen from retired teachers in Michigan. Talia lurches to her feet. Stop it, Corbin. Please, just stop. The FBI has been watching our house for 3 months. I continue. Agent Rodriguez called me last Tuesday. Wanted to know if I was aware my wife was married to a fugitive. Imagine my surprise. The room erupts. Harold starts shouting about scandals and family reputation. Cassie screams at her mother, demanding to know if any of their life was real. Jonah throws his wine glass against the wall, where it shatters into glittering fragments. Maya runs from the room, sobbing. But I'm not done yet. Your sister Nora has been running the Portland household, I say, raising my voice above the chaos. Taking care of those children when you're here with us, coaching them to call you Aunt Mara when neighbors ask questions. She's been getting $5,000 a month for her trouble. Nice work if you can get it. I turn to face Talia directly. The children think their father is overseas on business. They have no idea their mother has another family 3 states away. They send you pictures they've drawn, asking when Daddy's coming home. Talia collapses back into her chair, tears streaming down her face. I never meant for it to happen this way. But it did happen, I reply. For 7 years it happened. Every business trip, every late night at the office, every time you came home smelling like different soap or wearing clothes I'd never seen before. You built an entire life without us. I close the laptop and pick up my keys from the side table. I've transferred my entire inheritance to an irrevocable trust for our 3 children. $4.2 million that you can't touch during the divorce proceedings or when the federal government seizes our assets. Consider it my Christmas gift to them. Harold finds his voice. You can't just destroy this family over some misunderstanding. I didn't destroy anything, I reply, heading for the door. I just stopped pretending it wasn't already broken. As I reach the front door, Talia calls after me. Where are you going? I pause, my hand on the doorknob. Somewhere honest people live. Merry Christmas, everyone. The cold December air hits my face like a slap, but it feels cleaner than the suffocating atmosphere inside that house. Behind me, I can hear the shouting continue, voices raised in anger and accusation. But for the first time in months, I feel like I can breathe. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Give the drive back now. I look back at the house, where shadows move behind the lit windows like actors in a play I no longer want to watch. Then I get in my truck and drive away, leaving the perfect family facade crumbling in my rearview mirror. 3 days after Christmas, I'm sitting in my auto shop at 6 in the morning, nursing black coffee and staring at the stack of legal papers my attorney dropped off yesterday. Divorce proceedings, asset protection documents, and a restraining order I filed against Elias Corvin, though I doubt it'll do much good if he decides to escalate things. My phone hasn't stopped ringing. Reporters wanting the story about the suburban family torn apart by secrets, neighbors pretending to offer support while fishing for details, Talia's friends calling to tell me what a monster I am for destroying their perfect princess. The only calls I've answered are from my children. Jonah came by yesterday, confused and angry, demanding to know why I had to humiliate his mother in front of everyone. Maya won't speak to me at all, but Cassie surprised me. I always knew something was wrong, she said, sitting across from my desk in the shop's cramped office. Mom was different when she came back from those trips, happier, like she'd been somewhere she actually wanted to be. I'm sorry you had to find out this way, I told her. Are you? She asked. Because it seems like you planned this whole thing pretty carefully. She wasn't wrong. I'd been gathering evidence for 6 months, ever since I found that first credit card statement with charges from Portland restaurants on dates when Talia claimed to be in meetings all day. The private investigator cost me $8,000, but he was thorough. Photos, financial records, even surveillance footage from the apartment building where she lived her other life. Your mother made her choices, I said. I just made sure everyone knew what they were. Now I'm alone in the shop, waiting for the day to begin when the front door chimes. I look up to see 2 men in expensive suits walking toward me. They don't look like customers. Mr. Finlor? The taller one has the kind of smile that never reaches his eyes. We represent Mr. Corbin. He'd like his property back. I set down my coffee cup carefully. Don't know what you're talking about. The hard drive, the shorter one says, the one you stole from your wife. It contains private information that doesn't belong to you. Funny thing about stolen property, I reply, standing up slowly. It never really belongs to the thief, does it? Even when they think it does. The tall one's smile disappears. Mr. Corbin is willing to be reasonable. Return the drive, and we can all pretend this unpleasantness never happened. Here's the thing about unpleasantness, I say, walking around the desk to face them directly. Once it's out there, it tends to spread, like a virus or a cancer. I pull out my phone and show them a screenshot of an email. Sent copies of everything to the FBI, the IRS, the Oregon Department of Human Services, and about 40 journalists yesterday morning. Your boss's secrets are already metastasizing. The short one takes a step forward, his hand moving inside his jacket. That wasn't smart, Mr. Finlor. Probably not, I agree. But then again, I'm just a simple mechanic. We're not known for our intelligence, are we? Before either of them can respond, I press a button on my phone. The shop's security alarm starts wailing, loud enough to wake the neighborhood. Through the front windows, I can see Mrs. Patterson from across the street peering out her door, probably already dialing 911. Oops, I say over the noise. Clumsy fingers. You gentlemen should probably leave before the police arrive. They tend to ask uncomfortable questions about men in suits threatening small business owners. They exchange glances, then head for the door without another word. But I know they'll be back. Men like Elias Corbin don't give up easily, and they don't forgive public humiliation. I turn off the alarm and call my attorney. Jim, it's Corbin. We need to talk. 20 minutes later, Jim Hendricks walks into my shop carrying a briefcase and wearing the grim expression he reserves for his most complicated cases. We've known each other since high school, when he was the skinny kid getting stuffed into lockers, and I was the one pulling him out. Now he's one of the best divorce attorneys in the state, and I'm the client who just painted a target on his own back. Tell me you have a plan, he says, settling into the chair across from my desk. Working on it, I reply. How bad is it legally? For you? Not terrible, assuming you can prove everything you've alleged. For Talia? He shakes his head. She's looking at federal charges for money laundering, conspiracy, fraud. The works. Her career is finished, her reputation is destroyed, and she'll be lucky to avoid prison time. And the children? Yours will be fine, assuming the trust holds up. The Portland kids. He trails off. Child Services is investigating. If their father is who you say he is, they'll likely end up in foster care while the courts sort everything out. The weight of that settles on me like a lead blanket. 2 innocent children, caught in the crossfire of their parents' choices. But I push the guilt aside. I didn't create this situation. I just exposed it. There's something else, Jim continues. Talia's filed a counter-petition. She's claiming you've been emotionally abusive, that you've isolated her from friends and family, that you've threatened her physical safety. I laugh, but there's no humor in it. Let me guess. Dr. Hayes is backing up her story. How did you know? Because Dr. Hayes is married to Talia's sister Nora, the same Nora who's been taking care of the Portland children. It's all connected, Jim. One big happy conspiracy. He makes notes on his legal pad. Can you prove that? I slide a manila folder across the desk. Marriage certificate, joint bank accounts, property records. Dr. Hayes has been getting kickbacks from Elias through Nora for years. $80,000 in consulting fees that coincidentally started right around the time Talia began her therapy sessions. Jim flips through the documents, his eyebrows rising. Where did you get all this? Same place I got everything else. Private investigator with connections and a flexible relationship with privacy laws. I lean back in my chair. The question is, what do we do with it? We use it to destroy their credibility, he says immediately. If we can prove the therapist was compromised, her testimony becomes worthless. More than worthless, it becomes evidence of a larger conspiracy to defraud you. My phone buzzes with another text from the unknown number. Last warning. Return what you stole or face the consequences. I show the message to Jim, who frowns. You need protection. I can handle myself, I reply. 8 years in the Army teaches you a few things about dealing with bullies. This isn't Afghanistan, Corbin. These people have money, connections, resources. They can make your life very difficult without ever getting their hands dirty. As if summoned by his words, my phone rings. The caller ID shows Maya's name. Dad? Her voice is small, scared. There are men outside the house. Mom's crying and won't come out of her room. What's happening? I'm already reaching for my keys. Stay inside, sweetheart. Lock the doors and don't let anyone in except the police. I'm on my way. Corbin, Jim calls as I head for the door. Be careful. This feels like a setup. Maybe it is, but Maya is still my daughter, and she's frightened. Whatever else happens, I won't let Talia's choices put my children in danger. I drive through the suburban streets where I've lived for 15 years, past the houses where I know every neighbor's name and their children's birthdays. But everything looks different now, like I'm seeing it through someone else's eyes. The perfect lawns and matching mailboxes seem like stage props, hiding whatever secrets lurk behind those cheerful facades. When I pull into my driveway, I see what Maya meant. A black SUV sits across the street, its windows tinted dark. 2 men in suits lean against a sedan parked at the corner. They're not trying to hide their presence. I walk up to the front door of what used to be my home, feeling like a stranger in my own life. But as I reach for the doorbell, I realize something has fundamentally changed inside me. The man who walked out of this house 3 days ago was still hoping to salvage something from the wreckage of his marriage. The man standing here now has different plans entirely. Maya opens the door before I can ring the bell, throwing herself into my arms like she used to when she was little. She's shaking, and I can feel her tears soaking through my shirt. I'm scared, Daddy, she whispers. Those men keep driving by, and Mom won't stop crying. Cassie went back to her apartment, and Jonah's at his friend's house. I don't know what's happening. It's going to be okay, I tell her, though I'm not sure I believe it myself. Where's your mother? Upstairs. She's been on the phone all morning, screaming at someone. Maya pulls back to look at me. Is it true about the other family? I guide her to the living room, away from the windows where those men might be watching. Yes, sweetheart, it's true. Why would she do that to us? It's the question I've been asking myself for days, and I still don't have a good answer. Sometimes people make choices that hurt the people they're supposed to love. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong. Footsteps on the stairs announce Talia's arrival. She looks terrible, hair unwashed, makeup smeared, wearing the same clothes she had on at Christmas dinner, but her eyes are sharp with anger. Get out of my house, she says. It's still my house, too, I reply calmly. And Maya called me because she was frightened. Frightened of what? The consequences of your vindictive little performance? Frightened of the men in suits who've been circling the block all morning, the ones working for your boyfriend. Talia glances toward the window, and I see fear flicker across her face. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Because they visited me at the shop this morning, wanted me to return Elias's property, seemed to think I might be persuaded by implied threats. You brought this on yourself, she snaps. If you'd just minded your own business. My business? I stand up, and Maya shrinks back into the couch. My wife living a double life with a wanted criminal is my business. My children's inheritance being built on stolen money is my business. My family being destroyed by lies is definitely my business. Talia's phone rings. She glances at the screen, and her face goes white. I have to take this. She disappears back upstairs, but I can hear her voice through the ceiling, high and panicked. Maya looks at me with wide eyes. Dad, what's going to happen to us? Before I can answer, my own phone buzzes. This time it's not a text. It's a call from Agent Rodriguez at the FBI. Mr. Finlor, we need to talk. Can you come to the federal building this afternoon? Am I under arrest? No, but we have some questions about your wife's activities, and we think you might be able to help us. I look at Maya, who's pretending not to listen while hanging on every word. I'll be there at 2. After I hang up, Maya asks, Are you in trouble? I don't think so, but your mother might be. As if summoned by my words, Talia comes back downstairs. Her face is composed now, but I can see the effort it's costing her. I need you to make this stop, she says quietly. The FBI called my office. They've frozen my accounts. My boss wants to see me first thing Monday morning, and we both know how that's going to go. Make what stop? The investigation into your criminal activities? I don't think that's up to me anymore. You could tell them it was all a misunderstanding, that you were angry about the affair and exaggerated everything. I stare at her in disbelief. You want me to lie to federal agents to protect you? I want you to protect our family. Our family? I laugh, and the sound is harsh in the quiet room. Which one? The one here in Ohio, or the one in Portland? Because I'm having trouble keeping track. Maya makes a small sound, and we both look at her. She's crying again, silently, her hands pressed to her face. Look what you've done, Talia hisses. Look how you've hurt her. I've hurt her? The anger I've been holding back for days finally breaks free. I'm not the one who's been living a lie for 7 years. I'm not the one who looked my children in the eye every day while maintaining a secret family across the country. I'm not the one who stole money from retired teachers to pay for vacations and private schools. Keep your voice down, Talia warns, glancing toward the window. Why? Afraid your boyfriend's associates might hear something they don't like? I walk to the window and look out at the black SUV. They're still out there, by the way, watching and waiting. Is that the kind of life you want for Maya? Looking over her shoulder, wondering when dangerous men might come calling? Talia follows my gaze, and I see her hands tremble. Elias said he'd handle this. He said if you just returned the drive, everything could go back to normal. Normal? I turn to face her. What's normal about any of this? What's normal about a marriage built on lies and stolen money? What's normal about children who don't know their mother has been playing house with a criminal? My phone rings again. This time it's Jim Hendricks. Corbin, where are you? At the house with Maya. Why? Because I just got a very interesting call from the district attorney's office. Seems someone filed a complaint claiming you've been threatening your wife and her associates. They're issuing a warrant. I look at Talia, who's watching me with an expression I can't read. Let me guess. Dr. Hayes provided a statement about my violent tendencies and history of abuse. How did you? Never mind. Can you get to my office without being seen? Probably not. There are watchers outside. Then stay put and don't do anything stupid. I'm calling in some favors, but this is going to get worse before it gets better. After I hang up, Talia asks, What did your lawyer say? That you and your co-conspirators are trying to have me arrested for threatening you. She has the grace to look ashamed. I didn't want it to go this far. Then you should have thought about that before you decided to destroy our family. I walk toward the door. I'm leaving before the police arrive. Maya, pack a bag. You're coming with me. She's not going anywhere, Talia says, stepping between me and our daughter. Really? You want to explain to Child Services why dangerous criminals are stalking your 16-year-old daughter because of your choices? Because that conversation is coming, probably sooner than you think. Maya stands up, her face set with determination that reminds me of myself at her age. I want to go with Dad. Maya, please, Talia pleads. This is all just a big misunderstanding. Everything will be fine once we sort it out. Like you sorted out having 2 families? Maya's voice is cold, older than her years. Like you sorted out lying to us for 7 years? She pushes past her mother and heads for the stairs. I'll get my things. Talia turns to me, desperation replacing anger. Don't do this, Corbin. Don't take her away from me. I'm not taking her anywhere. She's making her own choice, just like you did. I pause at the foot of the stairs. The difference is, her choice is based on truth instead of lies. While Maya packs, I call Agent Rodriguez back. I need to change our meeting time. Something's come up? The warrant? Yeah, we heard about that. Interesting timing, don't you think? You could say that. Mr. Finlor, I want you to know that we don't consider you a target of our investigation. Your wife's activities appear to have been conducted without your knowledge, but we do need your cooperation. You'll have it, but first I need to make sure my daughter is safe. Understood. Call me when you're ready. Maya comes back downstairs with a duffel bag, her jaw set in a way that tells me she's made up her mind. Talia tries one more time. Sweetheart, please don't do this. I know I made mistakes, but I'm still your mother. Maya stops at the door and looks back. Are you? Because I'm not sure I know who you really are anymore. As we walk to my truck, I notice the black SUV's engine start. They're going to follow us, which means I need to be smart about where we go. Dad? Maya asks as we pull out of the driveway. What's going to happen to those other children, the ones in Portland? It's the question that's been eating at me since Christmas night. I don't know, sweetheart, but it's not your fault, and it's not your responsibility to fix. It feels like it is, though, like we're all connected now, whether we want to be or not. She's right, of course. Elias Corvin's children are as much victims in this as Maya and her siblings, but they're also the evidence of Talia's betrayal, living proof of the life she chose over the one she had with us. In my rearview mirror, I can see the SUV keeping pace, 2 cars back. They're not trying to hide anymore, which means the game has changed. No more subtle threats or implied consequences. Now it's open warfare, and I intend to win. The FBI field office sits downtown like a concrete fortress, all sharp angles and tinted windows that reflect the gray December sky. Maya waits in the truck while I walk through the metal detectors and surrender my phone to security. Agent Rodriguez meets me in the lobby, a compact woman in her 40s with intelligent eyes and a handshake that could crack walnuts. Thank you for coming in, Mr. Finlor. I know this situation is complicated for you. She leads me to a small conference room where another agent, a tall man introduced as Agent Parker, sits behind a stack of files that look suspiciously like my entire life, laid out in manila folders. We've been investigating Elias Corbin for 18 months, Rodriguez begins. Financial crimes, identity fraud, money laundering. Your wife's name came up in our analysis of his banking patterns about 6 months ago. 6 months? I lean forward. You've known about Talia's involvement for 6 months? We've suspected, Parker clarifies. But we needed evidence. Your Christmas revelation provided that evidence. Rodriguez slides a photograph across the table. It shows Talia and Elias at what looks like a bank, both of them signing documents. This was taken in Portland last October. They were opening another joint account under the Merrick identity. How many accounts are there? 17 that we've found so far, spread across 4 states, all using variations of the Merrick name. Your wife has been very busy. The next photograph shows the Portland apartment building, but this one was taken from inside a surveillance van. I can see Talia pushing the little girl on a swing in the courtyard while the boy plays nearby. Those children, I say. What happens to them? Oregon Child Services has temporary custody, Rodriguez replies. They're safe, but the situation is complicated. Legally, they don't exist. No birth certificates under their real names, no social security numbers, no medical records. Your wife and Corbin created them as ghosts. The weight of that settles on me. 2 children, 6 and 4 years old, who have no legal identity because their parents were living a criminal fantasy. Oh, there's something else, Parker says, opening another file. Your business accounts show deposits totaling $1.3 million over the past 8 years, all traced back to the stolen pension funds. I never knew, I say quickly. Talia handled our finances, said she was better with numbers. We believe you, Rodriguez says. The timing of the deposits corresponds with her Portland trips, and the amounts match withdrawals from Corbin's accounts. But there's a problem. She slides another document across the table. It's a federal asset forfeiture notice. Everything purchased with those funds is subject to seizure. Your house, cars, your daughter's college fund. The government has a legal right to recover stolen money, even from innocent parties. I stare at the paperwork, feeling the walls close in. What about the trust I set up for my children? That might be protected, depending on when you established it and what funds you used. Your attorney will need to provide documentation. Parker leans forward. Mr. Finlor, we need your help to build a case against Corbin and your wife. In exchange, we might be able to minimize the asset forfeiture. You'd lose the house, but your children's future would be secure. What kind of help? Corbin is getting desperate. Our sources indicate he's planning to flee the country, probably within the next few days. But first, he wants to eliminate loose ends. Rodriguez taps the table. You're a loose end, Mr. Finlor. So is your wife, though she doesn't realize it yet. Are you saying he might hurt her? We're saying men like Corbin don't leave witnesses behind when they run. Your wife knows too much about his operation, and she's become a liability. The irony isn't lost on me. After everything Talia has done, I still feel a stab of concern for her safety. 23 years of marriage doesn't disappear overnight, even when it was built on lies. What do you want me to do? Wear a wire. Meet with Corbin and get him talking about the money, the false identities, the whole operation. Give us enough evidence to put him away for life. I think about the men in suits outside my house, the threatening text messages, Maya's frightened face. And if I refuse? Then we build our case the slow way, and Corbin probably disappears into some non-extradition country with whatever money he can grab. Your wife goes to prison for her part in the scheme, and you lose everything anyway. Some choice. It's the only choice that gives your family a future, Rodriguez says gently. I look at the photographs scattered across the table, evidence of a life I never knew existed, of choices made without my knowledge that destroyed everything I thought was real. When do we do this? Tonight. We know Corbin is staying at the Riverside Hotel under another false identity. Your wife has been meeting him there every evening since Christmas. Talia's still seeing him? The betrayal cuts deeper than I expected. Even after everything that's happened, she's still choosing him over her family. Every night from 6 to 8, They're planning their exit strategy. Parker hands me a business card. Think about it, Mr. Finlor. Call us by 5 if you're willing to help. Otherwise, we'll proceed without you, and the consequences will be what they are. I walk back through the lobby in a daze, my mind spinning with implications. Outside, Maya looks up from her phone as I get back in the truck. How did it go? Complicated, I reply, starting the engine. We need to find somewhere safe for you to stay tonight. Why? What's happening tonight? I look at my daughter, 16 years old, caught in a nightmare she didn't create, and make a decision that will change both our lives forever. Tonight, I'm going to finish what your mother started. The drive to my brother Danny's house takes 20 minutes through city traffic. He lives in a modest ranch home with his wife Carol and their twin boys, a normal family living normal lives. The kind of life I thought I had until 5 days ago. Danny takes one look at my face and ushers us inside without questions. Carol makes coffee while the boys entertain Maya with their video games. In the kitchen, I explain the situation to my brother and sister-in-law. You're going to wear a wire to catch a fugitive criminal? Carol asks, her voice rising. Are you insane? Probably, I admit. But it's the only way to protect Maya and her siblings. Danny, who's seen combat in Iraq, understands the logic. You need backup. The FBI will be listening. If things go wrong, they'll move in. And if things go wrong before they can move in? I meet my brother's eyes. Then Maya has you and Carol to take care of her. Dad, no. Maya appears in the doorway, her face pale. I heard what you said. You can't do this. I have to, sweetheart. It's the only way to make sure you and your brother and sister have a future. What about your future? She starts crying again, and I pull her into my arms. Mom, my future is making sure you're safe and that the people who hurt our family face consequences. Carol takes Maya upstairs to help with homework, leaving Danny and me alone in the kitchen. You sure about this? He asks. No, but I'm sure about what happens if I don't do it. Corbin disappears, Talia goes to prison, and my children lose everything. And if you do it? Maybe we get some justice. Maybe the kids get to keep their inheritance. Maybe I sleep better at night knowing I didn't just roll over and let criminals destroy my family. Danny nods slowly. What do you need from me? Take care of Maya if this goes sideways. Make sure she knows I love her. She knows, but you're going to tell her yourself when this is over. At 4:30, I call Agent Rodriguez. I'm in. Good. Meet us at the field office at 5:15. We'll wire you up and go over the plan. What about Talia? Does she know what's happening? She knows we're closing in. Whether she warns Corbin or not is up to her. After I hang up, Maya comes downstairs with red eyes but a determined expression. I want you to know something, she says. Whatever happens tonight, I'm proud of you for fighting back. Mom made her choices, but you're making yours. I love you, Maya. Remember that. I love you too, Dad. Now go catch the bad guys. As I drive toward downtown and whatever waits for me at the Riverside Hotel, I think about the man I was 5 days ago. A simple mechanic who fixed other people's problems and went home to his family every night. That man is gone, replaced by someone harder, more dangerous, someone who's tired of being the victim in his own life. The FBI's technical team fits me with equipment that looks like something from a spy movie. A transmitter the size of a quarter taped to my chest, a backup recorder sewn into my jacket lining, and an emergency beacon that will summon cavalry if I press it twice. Remember, Agent Rodriguez says as we review the plan one final time, we need him talking about the money laundering, the false identities, and his plans to flee. Don't push too hard, but don't let him deflect either. What if Talia warns him? Then we abort and try a different approach, but our surveillance suggests she's been keeping secrets from him too. She may not realize how much danger she's in. Agent Parker hands me a small device that looks like a hearing aid. This will let us communicate with you if necessary. Try to keep the conversation in the hotel room, better acoustics for the recording. At 6:15, I walk into the Riverside Hotel's lobby, my heart hammering against the wire taped to my chest. The place reeks of desperation and cheap cologne, the kind of establishment that rents rooms by the hour and doesn't ask questions about identification. Room 237 is on the second floor, at the end of a hallway lined with faded carpet and flickering fluorescent lights. I knock twice, as instructed. Elias Corbin opens the door, and I'm struck by how ordinary he looks. Medium height, thinning hair, the soft build of a man who's spent his career behind a desk. This is the criminal mastermind who's been pulling my wife's strings for 7 years. Mr. Finlor, he says, stepping aside to let me enter. I wasn't sure you'd come. The room is a study in temporary living, clothes scattered across the bed, fast food containers on the nightstand, the smell of fear and stale cigarettes hanging in the air. Talia sits in the room's only chair, looking like she hasn't slept in days. "Hello, Corbin," she says quietly. "Talia." I keep my voice neutral, professional. "Elias, I think we need to talk." "Indeed we do." Corbin closes the door and engages the chain lock. "You've caused considerable trouble with your little Christmas performance." "I've caused trouble?" I laugh, settling onto the edge of the bed to keep both of them in view. "I'm not the one who's been stealing pension money and living under false identities." "You're not the one whose children are now in foster care because of your vindictive actions," he replies sharply. "There it is, confirmation that he's the father of the Portland children, recorded on federal equipment." "Those children are in foster care because their parents are criminals," I say. "Maybe if you hadn't embezzled $4.7 million from teachers' retirement funds, they'd still have a family." Talia flinches. "Corbin, please. We're trying to fix this." "Fix it how? By running away to some country without extradition treaties? By abandoning those kids permanently?" Corbin's eyes narrow. "You seem remarkably well informed about our situation." "The FBI is remarkably forthcoming when you're cooperating with their investigation." The temperature in the room drops 10 degrees. Talia goes white, and Corbin's hand moves toward his jacket. "Cooperating how?" he asks. "They wanted to know about the money you've been laundering through my business accounts, about the shell companies and false identities, about your plans to flee the country." I lean forward. I told them everything I knew, which turned out to be quite a lot. "You're wearing a wire," Corbin says flatly. "Of course I am. Did you think I'd walk into a room with a wanted criminal and my lying wife without insurance?" Talia starts crying. "Corbin, you don't understand. Elias said if we could just get the evidence back, everything could go back to normal." "Normal?" I stand up, letting anger creep into my voice. "What's normal about this situation? What's normal about stealing money from retired teachers to fund your fantasy life?" "The pension fund was mismanaged," Corbin says defensively. "Those people would have lost their money anyway when the system collapsed. I just accelerated the timeline." "And kept the money for yourself. Very noble." "I provided for my family, both families. Your children benefited from that money too." "My children benefited from stolen money because my wife was laundering it without my knowledge. There's a difference." I'm pacing now, staying in motion to keep the wire positioned properly. "Tell me about the Merrick identity. How long have you been Marcus Merrick?" "Long enough," he replies carefully. "Long enough to father 2 children with my wife. Long enough to convince them their real father is overseas on business. Long enough to create an entire false life in Portland while maintaining your criminal operations in Michigan." "You have no idea what you're talking about." "I know you've been using 17 different bank accounts across 4 states. I know you've been moving stolen money through shell companies and legitimate businesses. I know you created false identities for yourself, my wife, and your children to avoid federal prosecution." Corbin pulls a gun from his jacket, a small revolver that looks almost toy-like in his soft hands. "That's enough." Talia gasps. "Elias, what are you doing?" "What I should have done days ago. Your husband has become a liability we can't afford." "You're going to shoot me in a hotel room with federal agents listening to every word?" I shake my head. "That's not very smart, even for an embezzler." "The wire won't matter if you're not alive to testify." "It will matter when they play the recording of you confessing to multiple felonies and threatening to commit another one." Through the thin walls, I can hear movement in the hallway. Heavy footsteps, multiple people trying to be quiet. The FBI is positioning for entry. "Besides," I continue, "shooting me won't solve your problems. The evidence is already in federal hands. Your accounts are frozen, your identities are blown, and your escape routes are compromised. You're finished, Elias." "Maybe, but I can still take you with me." "And leave Talia to face federal charges alone? Leave your children in foster care permanently? That doesn't sound like the actions of a man who claims to love his families." Doubt flickers across his face. "Talia comes with me. We'll start over somewhere else." "With what money?" "The FBI has seized everything. You're broke, wanted, and running out of time." Talia finally finds her voice. "Elias, put the gun down. This isn't solving anything." "It's solving the problem of your husband's interference." "My interference?" I laugh. I didn't interfere with anything. I just stopped pretending I didn't know what was happening in my own life. The door explodes inward as federal agents breach the room. Corbin spins toward the sound, and I tackle him from behind, driving him to the floor. The gun skitters across the carpet as agents swarm the room, shouting commands and pointing weapons. "Clear, clear, suspect down." Agent Rodriguez appears at my shoulder as I roll off Corbin, who's now face down with his hands zip-tied behind his back. You okay, Mr. Finlor? Better than okay, I reply, pulling the wire from my chest. Did you get what you needed? Confession to embezzlement, money laundering, identity fraud, and conspiracy, plus threatening a federal witness. He's looking at 25 to life. Talia sits in the chair, sobbing as another agent reads her rights. She looks at me with something that might be regret or might just be self-pity. I never wanted it to go this far, she says. But it did go this far, I reply. It went this far because you chose to let it. As they lead her away in handcuffs, she calls back to me. What about our children? What happens to them now? Our children will be fine, I say. They have a trust fund that can't be touched by federal forfeiture, and they have a father who loves them enough to tell them the truth. And the Portland children? I watch her disappear down the hallway, flanked by federal agents. That's not my problem anymore, Talia. You should have thought about them before you decided to build your life on lies. Agent Rodriguez drives me back to the field office to complete my statement and surrender the recording equipment. Outside, the December night is cold and clear, full of stars that were hidden behind clouds for the past week. What happens now? I ask. Now you go home to your family and try to rebuild your life. Corbin will plead guilty to avoid the needle, and your wife will probably get 15 years if she cooperates fully. And the asset forfeiture? You'll lose the house and cars, but the trust should be protected. Your children will have enough money for college and a good start in life. As I drive back to Danny's house to collect Maya, I think about the man I was a week ago and the man I am now. The old Corbin would have tried to forgive, to find a way to keep the family together despite the lies and betrayal. The new Corbin knows that some things can't be forgiven, and some families aren't worth keeping together. Maya runs to me when I walk through Danny's front door, and I hold her tight while she cries with relief. It's over, I tell her. The bad guys are in custody, and we're safe. What happens next? Next, we figure out how to build a new life. Just the four of us, you, me, Cassie, and Jonah. A real family this time, built on truth instead of lies. She pulls back to look at me. Will you be okay, Dad, after everything that's happened? I think about that question as we drive home through the quiet suburban streets. Will I be okay? The man I was married to for 23 years is going to prison. My children have learned their mother is a criminal. I'm about to lose the house where we built our life together. But for the first time in months, I feel like I can breathe. Yeah, sweetheart, I tell Maya as we pull into our driveway. I think I'm going to be just fine. The black SUVs are gone. The watchers have disappeared. The house sits quiet under its Christmas lights, waiting for whatever comes next. And for the first time since Christmas dinner, that feels like enough.